Today we're talking about 5 shocking INFJ traits that leave others astonished. Because the thing is this, yes, INFJs are intense. INFJs have qualities that are very rare. But at the end of the day, shouldn't that be something that most people just don't care about because everybody's so focused on their own life? Well, that's the theory. But in reality, once somebody actually meets an INFJ, they have an interaction with an INFJ, there's always this moment of shock of, oh, that person is different, that person has an effect on me, and it really makes other people have a strong reaction towards the INFJ. So today we're talking about the 5 most shocking traits INFJ possess that leave others astonished, and we're going to talk about if this is something that we should embrace, if this is something we should even question, and how we're going to move forward from that. Before we get started, I'm happy to announce that the next INFJ Epic Live Bootcamp is launching November 4th. So make sure to join the waitlist now so you get access to the early bird price and get notified once we go live. If you want to find out more about the bootcamp, check out the link in the description and download the free poster on the 5 pillars to an INFJ Epic Life, which is the basis of the bootcamp. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. Shocking trait number 1, withstanding social pressure. So on the one hand, INFJ can very much absorb other people's emotions. They can get attached to other people, and when this happens, of course, how they feel about us, how they react, all of that has a strong impact on us. But what I'm talking about here is that we might be, influenced by how other people feel about us one-on-one, but what we can withstand very well is the social pressure of you should be this, you should act like this. And on top of that, we're so consciously aware of that we can actually verbalize it. We can talk about it. We can see, oh, everybody is playing this game. Everybody is following those popular people. Everybody is pretending to be a certain way in order to fit in. They're playing by the unspoken rules. They're doing everything in order to fit into this box that doesn't exist. And I can actually look outside into it and know, oh, okay, that's a game. Why are they all pretending? This is not real. This is a social construct. Well, most people are not aware of this. Most people are not able to step out of that because the social inclusion need when it comes to such a big group is more developed. And you can see this with yourself as well. So our inclusion needs, they peak when we're teenagers, like in our early 20s. Like that's how it is for everybody. And so you know that there's a difference. You know how you feel now and you know how you felt when you were younger. And that's the kind of difference you can imagine between yourself and other people. Of course, maybe not to, such an extent, but you get the picture. And so if you think back, there were certain things you weren't even aware of, certain things you didn't question. It just felt bad. And we don't have that. In so many ways, we can really stand on our own. We can be our own person. We can go our own way. And others cannot because the pain that they feel psychologically is too big for that. Okay, but that being said, why is that a shocking trait? Why is that something that people even think about? Well, it makes people uncomfortable because they see that there's another way and they cannot take it. If you have an interaction with somebody, subconsciously you always think they're going to react similarly how you would react because you see everything through your lens. So automatically there's this filter and you're not even questioning it. It's like you're in water, you're not thinking about the fact that there's also a way to be, above water and air and so on. And that's how it is with people who live by those rules, who live by those social constructs. They expect you to follow certain rules. And that's the way they behave towards you. They look at you and they think, oh, well, that's a person who obviously doesn't have as many friends as I do. That's a person who's obviously not as popular as I am. Let's neglect the fact that INFJ never wanted to be popular to begin with. But those are the things that go on through the other person's mind. So they automatically assume you would want to be friends with them. You look up to them. You want them to be your leader or whatever it is. And the INFJ just doesn't care. The INFJ is really, really good at standing on their own, going down their own path, and they want others to do the same because guess what? That's our filter. That's how we see the world. And so if we're not consciously thinking about it, we automatically think, that person also wants to stand on their own ground, wants to go their own path, and they will accept me and respect me for me going mine. Well, that's not the case. And so there's always some kind of shock moment when the other person recognizes, oh, I thought the INFJ will react a certain way. I thought I would have power over them, and I don't. And that is something that leaves a lot of people shocked, that leaves a lot of people astonished and baffled. And many of them have a really strong negative reaction. And there is some kind of underlying fear that's going on. And you will feel this as an INFJ. Hopefully, the older you get, you recognize this early on and you actually don't even engage with people so much that are acting this way. The way to do that is, of course, to invest more in yourself, like be even more of who you are, like not even making it a question of, am I like them or am I not? You're like obviously not like them. That's exactly what you love about yourself. That's what you live. That's what you preach. That's like how your entire life is set up. And the more you choose that path, going your INFJ epic life journey, you recognize it's better for you. You have less and less contact with people who think differently. And so you will have those reactions of shock way less often. Trait number 2, the INFJ dares to go deep. The INFJ has a very strong sense of self when it comes to how much an INFJ can actually, give of themselves, how much they can hollow themselves out for others. There's always this core that is really hard to shake. So I always say, just because INFJs are great at surviving, that doesn't mean that that's the road we should take. We are really good at giving everything for everybody else and still being able to keep our head above water. But when you're doing this, all your energy is really fleeting, right? The only thing you keep to yourself is the bare minimum. And this is something that makes a lot of people very uncomfortable because they actually see, oh, the INFJ can give so much of themselves. They can be very vulnerable with me. They can put all of their energy towards me and they don't need that much for themselves. In a lot of ways, this is a superpower for INFJs because once this happens, other people firstly, get into this situation where they recognize, oh, the INFJ might need me less than I need them. That makes people uncomfortable. That keeps them, astonished and a little shook. And on top of that, they really get anxious because they don't know what the INFJ is about. Most people get an understanding of who they're dealing with by other people's boundaries, by their reactions, by, when they have crossed certain areas that the other person isn't comfortable with. It's that reaction that gives you the feedback of, oh, that's what the other person is about. And you as an INFJ, you actually know this feeling because we are observers. And one of the ways we actually get to know somebody is to take a step back and allow people to shine, allow them to live out themselves more and more in your presence and feel comfortable, because that way we actually understand who they are, what they're about, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and so on. And so once the INFJ really starts going deep, on the one hand, it might seem like, oh, we're being vulnerable. But on the other hand, it makes people very nervous. It makes them nervous because they see you actually don't need to protect yourself so much. You're still okay with who you are. It's also something that doesn't allow people to really get to know you, because just because you're vulnerable, you're not really showing them what your weaknesses are. You don't show them when you're going to get aggressive or uncomfortable or when you are going to hit back. See, we as INFJs very often think when we go deep with people really fast, because it's also one of our passions, we're being vulnerable, but we're not really, because we're actually not saying oh, I don't like that. I don't like how you acted here, and really show them when we get mad at something or when we get really sad or whatever it may be. There's always this protection layer. And so this is a trait that makes people very shocked. And this is one of the reasons why INFJs get ghosted so often, or why they have in the past, because people might have an instant connection with you because you are allowing them to be more of themselves. But in the end, there is no security there. You are not showing them who you are, so they don't know what they're about. And this is super scary. And so therefore, people actually, take a step back. It is something that is very shocking to other people and very hard to digest. So we have to, on the one hand, understand that, yes, this is something that might make people uncomfortable, but it's something that is also deep to our heart. And because of that, we actually have to be careful who we share that with, because so many people have seen that part of us that is something that we actually love about ourselves and have hurt us because they cannot handle it. So it's on us to understand, oh, I have to protect myself. Yes, people will actually see what I get mad about. People will actually see, that I don't like certain things. And I'm just going to go deep with people who have actually earned that right. Not because we couldn't handle it, but because we don't want to live in survival mode anymore. We want to live in thriving mode. We want to live in INFJ epic life mode. And that means that we're not leaving ourselves open and connecting with people who don't deserve that connection. Because then we create a connection that is not based on who we truly are, but that is based on who we have to pretend to be in order for others to be okay with that connection. So they sort of feel safe, when in the end, it's been a facade all along. Think about how often you've actually made connections with people and you've dimmed your light. So it's on us to say, I'm choosing me. I'm not going to go into survival mode. I'm going to go into thriving mode, INFJ Epic Life, Bootcamp, and say, I'm going to choose me and I'm going to thrive and I'm going to live out my biggest and best self and I'm going to shine bright. And if people accept that part of me and can handle that part of me, then they're deserving of me creating a connection with them based on who I really am. Because only that can make you feel a true connection anyway. Shocking trait number 3, having a single future focus. So this is something that a lot of people have a hard time with, and it shocks them once they see that this is really going on. The INFJ is an NI personality, meaning we have an image of that's how the future is going to be. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's something positive. It can be that we wholeheartedly believe that person and us, we're going to be a great match, when in the end, we're not. It can be that we really set out to be the bigger person in a situation. Whatever it is, it's really hard for us to let go of that. And that's not something that is negative or positive, but it's on us to understand that this is first off shocking to people. They cannot understand how you can be so sure of something when it hasn't happened yet. Right? We are so set on, I'm going to get that scholarship. I'm going to get that job. I'm going to continue this path because in our mind, we already have created that future. This in itself can be a great tool. This can be something that is going to help you achieve everything you ever wanted. This sole future mindedness of I'm not looking left and right. I'm not thinking, this could not work out or this could not work out. If I have decided some things are going to work out, I'm holding on to it. That makes people very uncomfortable. It's shocking to people how you can be so sure of something that hasn't happened yet. But because of that, you can create amazing things. What we have to keep in mind, though, is that this trait is twofold. So yes, on the one hand, it's amazing. But on the other hand, you will hold on to things that are not healthy for you, things that are not realistic. I've done this so many times. And that's why I always say to INFJs, you have to double check a little bit. You have to tap into extroverted thinking. You have to really stop yourself and look at externally observable facts. So I've had years where I held on to a vision, me and that person, we're going to make it happen. There's a future between us. This is going to work out perfectly. This is happening. And if I was looking at the externally observable facts, I would have known, this person doesn't really want to hang out with you. Yes, you might have had a connection, but for some reason, they don't want to be in your life. And if I would have done that double check, I wouldn't have spent so many years, down that rabbit hole that wasn't leading me anywhere. And it's actually the single future-focused mindset that shocks people. But again, it's something that has the ability for you to create something amazing, something out of the ordinary, something that other people would never have, the persistency to achieve. All we have to do is just to make sure that we have externally observable facts that back our story. That's all it is. You don't have to spend too much time there. Just make little checks here and there. Are things really working out in the direction that I'm planning them? Are we making progress? Is this something that I could tell another person and they could externally observe? Trait number 4, the INFJ is incredibly mysterious. So we already talked about it. INFJs can hollow themselves out. INFJs can be the observer. They like to do that in order to get to know another person. But this is something that makes people very uncomfortable. At first, it's intriguing. It's something that, draws in people's attention. They want to know what's going on. But with time, they recognize that they don't know anything about you. And this is something that makes people very uncomfortable. It's something that shocks people. It's something that evokes strong reactions. Like if you're asking yourself, why are people reacting so strongly towards me? It's not just because we're different. It's not just because we do things that other people don't. Yes, it's part of it. But a huge aspect of that is the fact that they don't know anything about us. And when they don't know anything about us, they can build up this image in their mind of who we are. And it's actually one of our skills to do that, because that's how, we create connection. But it's not honest connection in a way of it doesn't give you that much. Like people like you for the person you pretend to be and not for the person that you truly are. And so you always feel a disconnect. And at some point, your true colors always come out. At some point, people see that you're very strong. At some point, people see that you're very smart. At some point, they see that you're not just like a supporting role, that you have very strong ideas and a very strong mind. And, that's when people really understand, oh, I thought you were somebody different. And that's when you have those strong reactions. So it's on us to just understand that people in general don't know what you're about if you're not sharing of yourself. That doesn't mean that you have to go outside into the world and tell everybody, oh, I'm really interested in personal development. I'm all about like this political party. I'm all about this approach to this like big topic in society. You don't have to do that. You just have to understand that if you have people in your life and you know that they have a different understanding of certain things than you and you keep it hidden, at some point it will come out. You don't have to bring it up, but to know that if you don't want to keep walking on eggshells, it makes it easier if you share a little bit more of what you believe in, what you like, and you really leave it to the others to decide, is this somebody that I want to have in my life? Because think of it like this. Maybe there's a person who has a different political view than you, and you still like them. You still want them in your life, although they have a different political view. So what do most INFJs do? They don't talk about this topic because they don't want to voice what their political view is, and then the other person might have a really strong reaction, might dislike them, and so on. But think about the situation. You like this person, although they have a different political view than you. Then wouldn't you want people in your life who, if they have a different political view, they accept and respect you for yours? So it really comes down to us saying, yeah, it shocks people, but that's okay. Like I rather want to be a little bit more transparent here so people can actually choose to like me for who I am. Because the alternative is that they never really get to know you. And when people don't really get to know you, trust me, you will never feel like they're your true friends. They will always be sort of like somebody that you're helping, but you never feel like that is somebody who's on eye level with you and you both consciously decide to take on that friendship, for example. And the fifth and last trait we're going to talk about today is the fact that an INFJ is incredibly strong-minded. So we are not ESTPs. We are not the people who can be, working all the time from a physical standpoint. But what we are really good at is to be really strong-minded, meaning we get into bad situations, we can keep our head on straight. We can master a situation when it's in crisis. And this is when we shine. And because of that, we very often actually attract situations that, need our help. We're attracting people who are always in crisis mode so we can help them fix things and so on. And very often when we attract people like this, we don't want to make them feel weak, right? It's always this situation of, oh, we're friends, but I'm actually helping you, but we're not really talking about it. And when you do this, at some point, they're going to get shocked because at some moment you have to stick up for yourself. At some point, you really feel like you've done so much for them and they're not being appreciative because they actually didn't know that you were doing something for them. And in the end, at some point, your strong mind will come out. People will understand who they're dealing with, and it's a huge shock. They didn't expect this. They would have rather thought you were a pushover, somebody who's always going to go their way. And once this happens, they recognize, oh, you're actually doing me a favor. But the question is, do we really need to take it this far? Like, we've done this. We've done this for decades. It's about time that we say, okay, I don't need to experience this situation again just with another person in my life. Like, I'm strong-minded and I will make people aware of this from the get-go. That doesn't mean necessarily that you have to tell that person, oh, I'm strong-minded. But it's about the way you live your life. So you don't choose the path of survival where you give all your powers to others. No, you really say, I want to help others. I want to inspire others. I want to live a happy and fulfilled life. But it all starts with me. I'm going to use my strong mind to create something out of the ordinary, something that makes me proud of the choices that I'm making for myself. And so when people come into my life, they have to accept me for who I am, which includes the fact that I'm a person who's very strong-minded. You deserve to be loved, liked, appreciated for all of the traits we talked about today. So it's on us to appreciate those traits and really use them in the best way possible. Remember, if you want some assistance in creating your INFJ Epic Life, then definitely sign up for the waiting list for the INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp. The next round launches November 4th. You can get the free poster and everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video on the 5 ways the INFJ breaks egos without even trying.